welcome to Less Lossy Reviews. Today on Less Lossy Reviews, the band Whirr, which are a band out of the Bay Area in San Francisco, California, and they have a brand new debut entitled Pipe Dreams. So I think on Pipe Dreams there's a very definite genre, and I think it sort of fits between noise rock and shoegaze. And to me, I think this album sounds a little bit like My Bloody Valentine. And it also sounds a little bit like The Joy Formidable. So thematically speaking, Pipe Dreams is a very sort of like a lost album, I find. I feel like when I'm listening to this, I'm sort of just like wandering aimlessly through, you know, like a grassy field or something like that. But the point is that I'm lost, and to me, the title Pipe Dreams is really fitting because it's like the dream element is that sort of that lostness. But the pipe element of it is the music in this album is very samey, and it feels like you're just rolling that music through a pipe, and it's just it's sort of echoing all over the place. And that, I guess, fits really well with those genres mentioned, you know, the shoegaze as well as the noise rock. So to me, it's just a very sort of like lost feeling album. So there's a couple really positive elements about this album. The one that, you know, stands off right off the bat is the guitar work. The bass and the guitar work on this album is very good. The solos really stand out, and there's a couple tracks that have really good bass leads in them. But for the most part, the solos on this album just really pull the album together. If they weren't there, it'd be a very different sounding album. Here's an example of the solo now. The other thing I liked about the guitar is it sort of reminded me of Explosions in the Sky. There was a lot of really high notes that Explosions in the Sky does that on this album they sort of replicated, or they did that as well, and it sounded really nice, and I like that very clean, like sort of higher pitched guitar sound. Those notes were really cool. The last thing I really liked is the first part of the album, like the first couple songs are a lot slower. And there's this transition on one of the songs from a song called Home Is Where My Head Is to another one called, Formulas and Frequencies. And that transition was really good because it was, Home Is Where My Head Is was a much like softer sounding song. And then the transition into Formulas and Frequencies was like, it was just blisteringly fast and really abrupt, and I didn't expect that at all. I was sort of like getting into nap mode, you know, and then going, oh wow, it was quite the transition, you know, really caught me off guard. So that was really good. So this album did, in my opinion, more harm than it did good. And one of the main things that I noticed right off the bat on listening to this album is that it is very slow. It's got a really slow pace to it, and the first, I think, 3 or 4 songs on it really push you into this like sleeping mode. As I mentioned earlier, it sort of puts you in nap mode, which is unfortunate because the latter half of the album is really solid, and I think it does more good than the beginning. Part of the reason I think that they had this problem on this album, for me anyway, was because of the vocals. The vocals are so downplayed on this album. They're almost inaudible throughout. I mean, I personally think they are inaudible throughout almost in the entire album. And I think stylistically they wanted to take, Whirr wanted to take that direction because of the noise, sort of shoegaze sound that they were going for. That the vocals are almost like another layer of sound and not really to send a specific message. They're using them more as an instrument than they were using them as a sort of a medium for a message. So to me, that was one of the main reasons why this album was such a slow album in terms of its pace, especially in the beginning. Another thing that was a huge setback for this album is that on a lot of the songs, the intros can be really interesting. Like the first 30 seconds, 45 seconds in a song were really engaging, and they had a lot of different things going on for them, but then they sort of just mold back into that hodgepodge of just like normal sounding, like rocking, it moves into, something that like going from really interesting, a lot of creative things happening to just moving back into stuff that we've heard throughout the same, the sameness of the whole album. So that was a huge setback for sure. So I think overall, Whirr and their album Pipe Dreams is pretty inoffensive. I think that it didn't do a lot wrong. There was a lot of really interesting things on this album, as well as a lot of things that were wrong on it. And when I'm in a position like that, I normally just slap a 7 on it. You know, I would say 7 for this album because there was, you know, there's stuff done right and there's stuff done wrong. And overall, I did enjoy listening to it, but I think that there were some things that hindered, I think, the development of the album overall. Thank you for watching Less Lossy Reviews. My name is Adam Price. Like, comment, subscribe, and there'll be more stuff up soon.